Okay, so with the NFL draft coming up this week, the position everyone is always wondering about, who is going to be the first quarterback off the board? And with Carolina trading a king's ransom to get that #1 overall pick, it's safe to say they're going to take a quarterback. And it's safe to say one of those quarterbacks is going to be C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. But the matter of who is the right pick to make in this situation is what we're going to be debating today. So Jackson, what are we thinking?
Bryce Young should be the first quarterback taken off the board. Bryce Young's had the better college career than any other quarterback in this draft. There's nothing that Bryce Young doesn't excel at besides the one thing that he simply can't control, which is his size. He's a Heisman winner, went to a national championship game, and threw for 79 touchdowns to just 12 interceptions. He can improvise better than any quarterback in the draft. His mobility is off the charts. His footwork is canny. He's the most dangerous quarterback in this year's draft when he's outside of the pocket. He can make high-level throws in any angle, and he's not even necessarily looking to run. He's just looking to extend plays to get the ball down the field. That's why, to me, people bring up his size saying that he's going to get hurt. Well, if you put yourself in situations where you're going to get hurt, obviously you have more likelihood to do that. Look at Kyler Murray, for example. But Bryce doesn't run the ball enough for me to see where a concern of that, injury status and whatever that case may be. I don't feel like that's going to be a huge issue. And also, if size was ultimately that big of a deal, then we wouldn't be seeing multiple 6'3", 6'4" quarterbacks in each draft just become busts. Like every year you can pinpoint a guy who has the physical traits but just can't put it together because of talent. And so health is a concern maybe, but the Carolina Panthers have a good offensive line to where he won't be running for his life every snap. And even if he has to be running for his life, he's shown in Alabama he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously no one's going to doubt the accolades of Bryce Young throughout his college career. With the injury concerns, though, I will say they did creep up a bit towards the end of his college career, but I don't think it's enough to really be too concerned about it. I just think C.J. Stroud is overall the more talented quarterback. I'm not going to argue C.J. Stroud had a better college career, because he didn't. But he overall is the more talented quarterback. He has 85 touchdowns in 2 years as a starter to only 12 interceptions. I mean, that's the same amount of interceptions as Bryce Young with a few more touchdowns. He had over 4,000 yards last year and over 3,000 yards this year as a starter at Ohio State. Not to mention he does have the better build. And yes, I agree, you can't control size, unfortunately. I'm 5'9", I can't play in the NBA. That's unfortunate. But it is a part of sports. It's a part of the game. His build does matter. That is the reality that we live in. And C.J. Stroud does have the better build. I think overall he is the better pure passer and has more potential because of that. Right now, I think Bryce Young is the better player and he's more NFL ready. But I think when you're drafting, you're looking for your future quarterback, not just a guy that's going to get out and win right now. And C.J. Stroud is going to be the better quarterback in the future. Once he has a few years under his belt, once he learns the NFL system more, the overall better passing and overall just more potential talent is going to be the difference between him and Bryce Young and the success that they'll have later on.
And I can agree with that. I think C.J. will be a good quarterback if he is given enough time to develop, if he goes to the right team. But I think, obviously, there's so many quarterbacks where you can apply that same, that principle to if you go to the right team. Bryce, if you're just taking him from square value and comparing him to C.J. Stroud, I think he's just a better prospect, and he just does more. He's done more with less. If you looked at Alabama's team last year, now obviously they were good. I'm not saying he was playing with bums, but he wasn't playing with what an Alabama team usually is. C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, no doubt he had a good season, but you got Marvin Harrison, you got playmakers everywhere you look. I mean, Ohio State is a funnel for tremendous wide receivers that go to the draft every year. Bryce Young didn't necessarily work with that as much this past year, and he put up incredible numbers. So for me, Bryce the physical traits go to CJ, but mechanics, grasping the game, that all goes to Bryce Young.
Yeah, but I mean, Bryce Young's Heisman year was 2 years ago. It wasn't this year, and that Alabama team was loaded. Playmakers everywhere. Not to mention, Bryce Young does play under the better system. I mean, I think we can all argue Nick Saban has a better system going on than Ohio State does. But C.J. Stroud, if you look at this, he throws. He attempts passes way more than Bryce Young does, way more than almost anyone in college football does, and still had a 71 and a 66% completion percentage in his 2 years at Ohio State. He is one of the best passers coming out of college that we've ever seen. He makes throws that I have simply just never seen been made before. Not only can he throw it as far down the field as Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, he's got that arm talent. He also has the ability to find windows that just don't exist. like what looks like it might be a bad throw is a throw that he can make. And that is just overall what's going to matter more in the NFL because the coverage is going to be better, the cornerbacks are going to be better, and the windows are going to be tighter. And C.J. Stroud has shown that ability to fit the ball into that tight window.
And I completely agree that you have to be able to have that pinpoint accuracy, which C.J. Stroud does. But I think Bryce Young has that accuracy too. I think he has the ability to throw the football. And again, you have to be able to make plays when plays break down. You have to be able to make those throws and perhaps even take off and run. Bryce Young has the ability to do that at a high level. C.J. Stroud doesn't necessarily have that ability yet. So there's both these quarterbacks are very good. They're going to probably have great careers. We've made some very good points, and that's about all we got.